Okay, here we are back again. So, sorry for a little technical problem, but we are back with Umberto. And we were talking about new ways of activism, that also this situation that sometimes can seem strange, but led to new ways and new forms of activism from like the youth and not only. So we'll talk about slacktivism. And Umberto, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, of course, we're talking about the technology, starting with some tech issues.
Of course.
No. So, as I was saying, first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm just sharing my screen. Can you see it? Yes.
Yes.
You should. Okay. So, hi, my name is Umberto Bozzolizi. I'm a climate reality leader, so an activist for the Climate Reality Project, founded by former US Vice President Al Gore about climate change and its solutions. And for the last maybe 7, 8 years, I basically paid my bills with digital marketing, lately mostly with social media marketing. So when Domenico first asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, let's do this. And he was like, yes, you know, a workshop about slacktivism. And I was like, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. And he was like, yeah, you know, slacktivism. So online activism through, I don't know, petitions and then donations and so on. And I was like, oh, no, okay, that's what I do. So yes, let's do this. And so in the next few minutes, that's what we're talking about. After a brief introduction in the first part about what's activism and then digital activism, we are shifting into part 2. So analyzing it from a communication standpoint, and then in the third and last part, we are seeing it put into practice with some case studies and what we can do. So I think you can see my, okay. So slacktivism, this is a definition. So actions performed via the internet in support of a political or social cause, but regarded as requiring real time or involvement. So signing an online petition or joining a campaign group on a social media website. So that's clear, but that doesn't sound that good, right? Slacktivism is a portmanteau of the words slacker and activism. So not being English my first language, I checked the meaning of the word slacker, and basically this is a slacker. So no, not sounding good at all, you know. And then I came across another definition. This is Urban Dictionary, so probably meant to be somehow ironic, but the self-deluded idea that by liking, sharing, or retweeting something, you are helping out. Suddenly I felt, you know, lost, and I didn't want to be a slacktivist anymore. And if it was a movie, probably this will be the title, but I'd like to write a different movie, a movie about rock. No, not really, but seriously, think about rock. In the 50s, it was rock and roll, plain and simple. But no, sorry, Elvis, because then this happened. And this is a very common process, and it goes way back. I know there are religious people among you, and I don't want to offend anybody, but it goes really way, way back, you know. And that's because unlike him or the universe, we are not perfect, and we like to put labels on anything and to complicate what's simple. And basically, the same thing happened with digital activism. First, it was digital activism, something simple and good, and then suddenly it was slacktivism, collectivism, hashtag activism, hacktivism, all that as opposed to what? as opposed to real activism. So my question now is, what's real activism? Is this real activism? Is this real activism or these? Why? Is it about quality or quantity? Is it about the kind of physical effort I put in? Is it about the amount of time I spend on it? For instance, this is a sit-in for George Floyd in Turin, my hometown in Italy. So basically, you're trying to change something literally sitting in. Who's the slacker now? No, but seriously, can you think of anybody who changed things simply sitting in, for instance, or taking a step back? I'm sure you all recognize this picture, and suddenly a whole world pop up, a whole topic pop up into your mind. But right here and right now, can you remember in detail exactly what happened before and after this picture was taken? Something about, for instance, Rosa Parks' actions and speeches? Probably not, and that's because we are somehow entering in the realm of communication, where words are not just words, pictures are not just pictures, and actions are not just actions. They are also signifier carrying a meaning. So being the signifier, the container, and the meaning, the content. And for instance, words are not always the best signifier. Pictures are. Do you know how much you're going to remember of this presentation 10 minutes after it's ending? Half. A drop into 25% tomorrow and just 10% in 1 week. That's because, for instance, according to famous communicator Dale Carnegie, we give 25 times as much attention to eye suggestion as we do to ear suggestion. And that's just an example. Basically, this is how any kind of communication process works. So we are shifting into the second part of this workshop. Basically, you have a sender, a message, a channel, a receiver, and then a feedback. The message as in the specific set of words, gestures, and images, and much, much more. And this happens the same way online in the digital world. But for some reasons, it gets a lot of criticism. And usually, very often, by activists themselves. This is Micah White, leader and co-founder of the Occupy Wall Street movement. It's a long quote. I'm just going to read the last part. Collectivism is to activism as McDonald's is to a slow-cooked meal. It may look like food, but the life-giving nutrients are long gone. So beautiful wording, but very tough and sharp. I'd like to share with you another quote. This is famous communication theorist Marshall McLuhan. In the 60s, predicting the global village, he came up with this beautiful idea. The medium is the message. It took me several years to really get what he meant, but think, for instance, about movies, how they changed our way of thinking and perception of reality from linear connections to configurations. Or think about the clock. We don't think about the clock as a medium, but it is. And we didn't sleep enough because we didn't sleep 8 hours, not because we are tired. We are always late, we're always in a rush. I have to check my watch to stay my 30 minutes with this workshop. So basically for McLuhan, it's the medium itself that shapes and controls the scale and form of human association and action. Same goes with social media, for example. So to consider this kind of media something so superficial, it would be could be superficial itself. I prefer to agree with Professor Mirzev of New York University. If it's just on social media, then very little will follow from that. But if by seeing things, people are impelled to take action themselves, and they are helped to find out how to take that action themselves, then change can result. And I just partially agree, because this is still a linear process with a starting point and ending and different stages separated one to each other, and with something happening in virtual reality and something happening in real reality. But basically, any kind of communication happening online works more like this. This is a structure, a concept called the funnel. At the top of the funnel, you have a very wide, unaware audience. So they don't know who you are, what you do, and why. Then through specific tools and techniques, you engage a smaller part of this audience, you start a conversation, and then an even smaller part of this audience, the last part, the bottom of the funnel, these are the guys really ready to take action. And this is a circular process with different levels constantly overlapping and intertwining with each other. Being how does this work? They say, well, basically through creating and sharing content. There's a saying, content is king online. I prefer to say content should be your savior, because it works through stories. On Facebook and Instagram, you literally have a tool called stories. Then with analogies, visuals, Rosa Parks and Dale Carnegie, remember, examples and repetition. We always complain we always have to listen to and watch to the same kind of messages online, but that's not that bad because it works and it's not new. It's not just on social media. This is Sir Winston Churchill. If you have an important point to make, don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. Hit the point once, then come back and hit it again. Then hit it a third time, a tremendous whack. Considering that on average, we need to be exposed 7 times to an online content to go from unawareness to taking action. Through these, which are our weapons, so hashtags, like, comment, and shares, and so on. But enough philosophical mumbo jumbo. Let's see it put into practice. So let's step into part 3 and see some, let's see it put into practice with some case studies. Starting with digital strikes, very common example of slacktivism. This is from the first Fridays for Future global digital strike. I'm maybe too old for Fridays for Future, but we share the same goals and values, so I'm a supporter. We were in the middle of the first global lockdown, so we basically, everybody had to run for cover. So they came up with this idea. They share these 3 hashtags. Hashtags are indeed tags used as online content aggregators, so it's easier to find and share content about a specific topic and to create trends very fast and effectively. 24A stands for 24 of April, Fridays for Future, and then digital strikes. We were instructed to take a pitch, to write them down on something, for instance, my chalkboard, then to take a picture of ourselves with the sign and to share it through social media using these hashtags. Then to make it a bit more real, we had to hang something green outside our windows. And then I found it particularly elegant and original. Through a geotagging platform, we had to put an avatar of ourselves on a digital map in front of Palazzo Chigi, which is Italian government headquarters. So my question now is, what's the difference between this and this? I took this same picture just a few months before, but in terms of outcome, what's the difference? Considering online, anything happens 5 times faster than offline. So we basically, thanks also to, especially to the digital world and social media, we went from this, Greta, the first strike, to this. Over 200 national Fridays for Future social media channels with over 20 million followers. That's something. Case study number 2, donation, another very common example of slacktivism. It's very easy to just make a donation and feel good with yourself, but you should feel like that. This is, for example, if you feel you can just donate, or if you feel confident enough, you can launch your own fundraising straight from social media. This is in Italian, but this is my personal Facebook account. For my birthday in 2019, the last voice of the main menu is launch a fundraising. You choose your cause, then you set a goal. I set a quite low one to be realistic, and I almost hit it. And then you are all set. You can launch your fundraising, or you can use a specific platform, as in GoFundMe. It's a very easy and fast process. You click on Start a GoFundMe, then start a new fundraiser, and then it's a very fast and easy 4 steps process. You enter your goal, campaign title, zip code, and category. Then you add a cover. Then you tell your story. You basically tell what you're doing and why. You describe who will benefit and so on. Then you just add a few more details and you're all set. And from your dashboard, you can update your fundraising and then, of course, share it through emails, text, social media, and all the digital tools. Same goes with petitions, exactly the same process. With the Climate Reality Project, every year we have an event called 24 Hours of Reality, basically a global conversation about climate change and its solution happening in the same 24 hours, thanks to presentation delivered by climate reality leaders all around the world. This year, the European branch decided to link a petition to the event. So in this case, I just signed the petition. This is the petition, bailouts, yes, for people and the planet. By the way, it's still active, so if you want, you can still sign it. It was basically demanding the European establishment, European decision makers, of the biggest green investment program ever. Again, if you want, you can launch your own petition. Oh, the moment I sign it, this window pop up, so to share it through social media, of course. And if you want, you can launch your own. For instance, this is change.org. You just click on Start a Petition. You choose what kind of issue you are petitioning on. And then again, a 4-step process. You write your petition title. You choose your recipients. You explain the problem. Add a photo, video as a cover. You are all set. Why you decide to sign or launch a petition? Probably to get to decision makers. So let's take a look about what decision makers are doing online. This is an analysis I made the last US election day, last month, after the Cambridge Analytica scandal. A lot of data regarding political and social advertising online went public, of public domain. So I decided to take a look on Facebook what these two were doing. I'll spare you all the details. So these are sums of the data about Joe Biden, for instance, the audience, the kind of audience, the amount of money spent, the number of people hit, and so on. This is Donald Trump. If you want, you can find the complete analysis on my personal LinkedIn account. But what I'd like to focus on is this: the kind of money spent. Like it or not, money is always a good indicator of what matters and what not. This sounded very greedy and soulless, so let me rephrase it. Usually, from a strategical standpoint, decision makers put the most money where they think they can get a great result. So from this standpoint, I don't know what part social media played in the game, but probably a very important one. And what was the outcome? Well, 4 years ago, for instance, last month, so something we here all care very much about. So maybe in the end, slacktivism is not that bad. Slacktivists are 2 times as likely to volunteer. Slacktivists are 4 times as likely to encourage others to sign a petition or contact a politician. And 59% of people say that the internet has had a major impact on the ability to get individuals together to make social change. So, as I said, I like words, but I don't like labels. So get rid of labels. Just strip off the slacker from the slacktivist, and maybe also the activists as well, because then what's left? Just people who care and try to do something to have an impact and make change. Do you remember the A in the SAVOR acronym analogies? This is probably the most abused analogy of all time. So you usually see the small part on the tip of the iceberg, the small visible part, and then the whole big invisible process under the sea level. But I left it clear on purpose, because in the end, in this process, it doesn't matter if you are the drop of water, the snowflake, or the big chunk of ice. In the end, what matters most, it's all together we're making an iceberg. And we're losing ice so fast, so we need icebergs. So, in conclusion, how can we take action? I have a little request. Let's not say before Christmas, let's say before the end of the year. So the next week, next 10 days, go online and please perform at least one of these actions. Find a topic you really care about and use reaction, like, comment, and share. Sign a petition, make a donation, or launch your own, because in the end, it matters. In the end, it counts. So please make it count. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Umberto. Very inspiring. Thank you very much. And
thank you, Domenico.
It has to find a way also to do what we are doing now. And yeah, now I'll open the floor to some question for Umberto. I have just some, so get prepared. But if there are from the audience, it will be very pleasure to ask Umberto. Okay, I will break the ice in a way. Yeah, you give like a wonderful overview of all the possibilities that slacktivism or digital activism can reach, and also some like sides that are less clear eventually, no? But finally, what's your opinion about the possibility of slacktivism to engage and increase the participation? Do you think that this way of increasing participation is like superficial or too weak, or do you feel that maybe some like real results can be achieved by these new opportunities?
Yeah, I definitely think this can be an effective, mean to get to, your goals, because especially to reach very easily and very fast a very wide audience, and then through really specific techniques really connected to the specific kind of media. It's I don't say really easy, because nothing is easy in this world, but you can really create a really high level of engagement. So it's a wonderful way to engage very fast wide audiences, to talk about, to create awareness very fast about something, about any topic, and in a quite easy way, because it's less expensive, it's faster, it's just easier. Then you have to, of course, put in the effort and to know, maybe the techniques. I'm not going to be, I have no time to be too much specific on that, but yes, it's definitely one of the best ways today we have to create, engagement. I don't think it's superficial. I think it's the other way around. Maybe it's not the only way, as I said, it's a part of a bigger process happening online and offline, and I see online and offline as part of the same reality. But in the end, they can be of help for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Umberto.
Thank you.
Thanks for your also answer that give us also more energy to do what we are doing.
Yeah.
And if there are any other questions also from the previous speakers or from the ones that are listening, feel free to engage Umberto into a discussion. Also, I have another question, but maybe I'll go into. So this is somehow like a request of suggestions. What do you think that, I don't know, platform like Climate Social Forum or also mock-up on other experiences of digital activism in this form that are creating, like, I don't know, platform for discussion and so on, can improve or can do like slacktivism in better ways and so on?
This will take maybe a deeper discussion, but you know, there's always space to improve something. I mean, this is a very good starting point. Then again, you have to know your enemy. I mean, meaning social media and the digital world. So maybe to involve experts or just people, you know, working in the digital world could be of help to put into practice all the, you know, techniques and strategies that can be used to be more effective, to engage more people. But, you know, it's a very wide subject. So there can be so many different, you know, suggestions. In the end, you know, it looks easy because anybody get access to the digital world. It's very easy for anybody to start anything online. What's difficult is you have to compete with many different, you know, you have a big competition just in terms of the amount of information we are always exposed day by day. So to emerge is very difficult because it can get overwhelming. Then many other people doing what you're doing, then many other people not liking what you're doing. And so one good thing can be to not think just because it's easy to start, it's then easy to grow. Then you maybe have to involve some, I don't know, professionals or someone who really knows how to do that, but not to be, you know, discouraged because, but for example, let's see what you're doing here and now, that this was, you know, possible without this kind of media we have today. So this is amazing, just like it is, and of course it can be better.
Thank you very much, Umberto, and I think that you provide useful suggestions, also the ones that express also the possibility to like engage and to think that start is not like growing, and is, I think, very wise and very interesting to listen to learn about it. So there is a question from Giancarlo and one from Pauline. So maybe Giancarlo, if you don't mind, we will give Pauline the floor. Then we can go to you, Pauline.
Okay, so from what I understood is that you're engaging much on digital activism. So we are well aware that our social medias are always having a lot of fake news here and there, especially with regards to like climate information and the scientific information and data people are spreading and providing. So as an organization or as a personal person, how are you ensuring that you're not providing or spreading fake news within your activism work? Thank you. That's the question.
Thank you, Pauline. Well, this is a topic I really care about, and sometimes it's really hard and discouraging to fight that kind of fight. If the question is what you can do to be sure you are, sharing true information and which are not fake news. Well, first of all, always check your sources. You have to really trust your sources and to know why you can trust some of them and not to trust some others. Then try to listen to different opinions as well, because maybe this was somehow also Giancarlo was saying. There's that thing called echo chambers. So they say, and it is at some level true on social media and then in the internet in general, we end up to listen to the kind of information and news we already agree with, and it's something depending on how these tools are working. So at some level it's true, but you have some power to avoid it. For example, something very simple you can do on social media is to just follow and just to engage also with people you disagree with, so you don't end up to just see the same kind of information you agree on, but all the rest is left out. So to have a critical point of view, you have to see both sides of the issue, both faces of medal. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yeah, you have. On the same note, we have like, let's take a platform like Facebook. We have fact checkers. Like, are you intending like to collaborate or have like as a partnership with social media like Facebook to help in fact checking for fake news and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'd like to, but I think something maybe slowly, but it's finally changing. I think there's awareness around the problem, and they are starting at least to try and fight it. So I'm quite optimistic about it for the near future.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, there is another question from Giancarlo. Maybe Giancarlo, if you want to take the floor to make it. Giancarlo, you can. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I think I have already received a response to the question, because my question was about the limit to use the internet and social media to disseminate information and opinions. And the limit was given by the extreme fragmentation of the audience. So when the media were few, everyone was forced to follow them. And now everyone has at one's disposal the media that are more in tune with one's opinion. And so many clusters are formed that are practically impermeable to each other. and the dialogue, paradoxically, can be the dialogue less, there can be less dialogue than before. A good means to avoid avoid this problem is what was suggested now, to get in touch with the
people thinking something different than you. Yeah. Different opinion, people with different opinions.
With people who have a different opinion, and tried to question, to speak with them. There is always the problem to be banned, but okay, this is really the reality with which you have to face. And yes, your answer was 100% correct.
Thank you. Yeah, this is for sure a problem with we lost what were called the gatekeepers. So the people or institution, controlling the stream of information, and also in theory with some level of deontology and rules, and then anybody is a gatekeeper. So that's the problem, but it's being addressed, and to be aware of that is just part of the solution, because the moment you are not that part who is unaware and of the problem, but if you are aware and you are asking, yes, but what can we do? You're already doing something, because your antennas are high, and your level of attention is higher, and you're paying attention. So you are somehow contributing to change the process, at least.
Okay, thank you very much, Umberto. And if there are any other questions to Umberto, we can close with him and go into the next session. And first of all, thank you very much for your intervention, Umberto. That helps us a lot. I can say also to navigate more better in this digital world.
Thank you, Domenico.
You are, as Paulina, you are kindly invited to stay with us, of course, if you want.
Thank you.
And also invited to the closing plenary. You will receive an email soon. And now I stop one moment the live session to give the floor to the next speaker.